HR Success Talk has started its journey in 2012 with a vision to bring HR and business leaders together in a form of a community to share knowledge and learn from each other. Starting from a single blog, we reached our first initiative called Forum to give a bigger platform to HR professionals to collaborate with each other. Later, we realized that we need to connect our members in person along with online. Hence, we launched our vertical called HRST Meets, under which we organize HR conferences and meetups where we invite HR and business leaders to talk about best practices in HR and business in different industries. HRST Meets also became a platform for our members to network with each other. We continued and also launched our online assessment vertical, which helps professionals at different levels in their career to learn and get a certificate in a specified field in HR. These assessments and certifications help HR professionals to find jobs or advancement in their career. HR Success Talk has leveraged technology while building the community. Our YouTube channel is focused on providing online videos or diverse different topics for benefits of our members. We can find video study material on topics like talent acquisition, HR journalist, HR analytics, learning and development, labor laws, and many more. During pandemic, we launched our webinar vertical. Again, with the use of the technology, we continued our mission of sharing and learning from each other. We touched thousands of lives across the globe and shared knowledge which was meaningful for our members. In HR Success Talk, we believe in recognizing and appreciating the contribution of HR and business leaders in their field, which is equally important. Hence, we launched our award vertical to provide a platform to professionals to give an opportunity to showcase their contribution and get recognized for it. We believe in fairness and capability. Hence, our jury and selection process is built in such a way that it provides opportunity to those who really deserve it. HR Success Talk has a very good presence on multiple social media platforms and other communication channels like Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Twitter. You can also visit our website www.hrsuccesstalk.com to read some interesting blog by our HR bloggers on trending topics and issues. We are a huge community with global presence in multiple countries and thousands members and growing every month. We provide a platform to our members where they can learn from each other, can share their knowledge, and knowledge for others' benefit, build relationships and networking, and leverage this networking in any way they feel like. We have so many stories where our volunteers have leveraged this platform to find jobs, get new business opportunities, find a mentor to guide. It is up to them how they wish to leverage and use our platform. And guess what? You don't have to pay a fees to be a member or fill any form. You can be a member by click of a button by liking our Facebook, LinkedIn page, or any other social media channel. Simple, isn't it? You must be wondering how we manage all this. Yes, you guessed it right. We have a force of highly talented volunteers who spend 3 to 5 hours every week of their time for this community. We also invest highly on the development of our volunteers and our HR team organize exclusive training sessions for them. Some of them have started as volunteers and today they are playing the leadership role in this community. If you also have the zeal and passion to serve the HR community and time to contribute, you can send your resume at info@hrsuccesstalk.com to be our volunteer. Our talent team will be in touch with you. For us, this is just a beginning. You can either choose to be part of the journey or watch it from a distance. Let's learn and share together.
Good morning, hello, bonjour, and good evening. Welcome back to the next episode of Edge Talk series. Experience, development, growth, and engagement is what we stand for. Powered by HR Success Talk, Edge Talk series is a platform where all of us get to know wonderful insights and facts through our industry leaders' experiences and stories. Well, as quoted by Simon Sinek rightly, customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. I think it's very true fact that all of us have been looking into it these days. Every company tries to achieve all their goals for a healthy work culture. The pandemic has definitely put us in a fast gear to make sure that work culture is being taken care of, and it is a mandatory note for all of us. To gain more knowledge and insights for the same, today we have a very special guest with us, Mary Ann Ocansey. Please welcome Miss Mary. Mary Ann has a combined experience of over 22 years in the banking industry with specialty in customer service, mortgage financing, private banking, and human resource management. She holds an MBA degree in Human Resource Management and is certified by the HRCI USA as a senior professional in HR. She has a passion for people development with special focus on young women aspiring towards leadership. Mary Ann is also a very proud country head of our Ghana chapter of HR Success Talk. She has 3 beautiful daughters, and indeed, Mary comes from a very humble background. And we are very happy and glad to have you as an integral part of our community. Welcome, Mary, and thank you so much for giving us your precious time today. And definitely, without any further delay, I'm going to hand over the crown to you and would request you to tell us about your journey.
Thanks, Shivani. It's a pleasure to be part of the Edge series. I'm really humbled because I've watched over the past few months the series, and I'm really inspired about your enthusiasm and the passion that you bring to the team. I think you covered everything in my bio. I'm passionate about our HR profession. And it's been a wonderful journey being a part of the HR Success Talk volunteer community. We are trying also to increase the awareness in Ghana, and this is one of the few ways in which we can also show our professionals the opportunities they can have being a part of a community like HR Success Talk.
Right.
And so thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely our pleasure. And it's a wonderful platform, like you rightly said. It helps us reach to the places where maybe we need more people from. I think we definitely will look forward to having more volunteers from Ghana as well. Today, as you know, we are here to discuss about work culture and organizational culture, how the employers should be, focusing on this one topic particularly. So to begin with, I'd love to ask you, how do you think organization culture was before the pandemic, and how do you think it is now, especially in the new normal, and what differences do you see?
Okay, thank you, Shivani. Well, first of all, I would like to start by giving a brief definition. I mean, we have various schools of thought when it comes to organizational culture. One school of thought simply puts it as the glue that holds the company together. Another says that it's actually derived from the Latin word colere, which means to cultivate. And so it simply puts, an organizational culture is how its leadership tends to cultivate or take care of its business as well as its stakeholders and its employees. And so when you have a background like this, you want to find out in this prior to the pandemic, what sort of culture do we have or did we aspire to? And there are four key areas that I would like to touch on. The first
Sure.
being what we call the ad, ad hoc or adhocracy culture,
Mm-hmm.
where the typical culture in the organization is one that has flexibility, where its employees do not have rigid procedures to follow, but they are innovative in their way of doing things. So you have this, especially with the tech companies. So you have like the Google and Facebook having that kind of culture, where because of the nature of their role or their function, they are more into innovation, and so you can't
Correct.
restrict people. Okay, so that kind of culture automatically allows its employees to have some flexibility. They may already have had flexible working time, and so with the pandemic, it wasn't anything new. They could quickly regroup. And so
Correct.
you realize that the IT or the technology space was one of the key ones that thrived very well during the pandemic. And in the same vein, you realize that they were most innovative. If you look at some of the, like Zoom came about, Google Teams,
Google.
on the social front, we have TikTok and all these
Correct.
innovations because they were at their creative best. They had their flexibility. Then we have the culture or the clan culture, where it is a more focused, family oriented, and like the name suggests, a clan is a group of people who have similar values that they aspire to. And so
Correct.
normally you have that kind of culture in family businesses. And in our space, especially in Africa, we have a lot of SME, one-man businesses that people run. And so there also you have the employees being treated equally because everybody is kind of related to the other person. And
Correct.
so it's a close-knit community and everybody is treated equally no matter your status within the organization. Now, for such an organization, if they just started their business with the COVID, if they don't have the financial muscle, they would have gone down. But
Correct.
those who have already grown or matured over the years, they would have had some financial muscle to be able to still keep their employees and provide all the necessary benefits for them. Because during the COVID, everybody was kind of isolated. Businesses were practically shut. Some of the industries like hospitality
Yes.
and so
Health.
on,
Yeah.
they totally couldn't have any business. In our space in Ghana, we have the catering wing, private people, individuals who do catering.
Correct.
One of my caterers was telling us he literally had to have a schedule where because they didn't have so many social functions to cater for, and he still had to pay his workers. And so he had a rigid roster where everybody had the opportunity to come in maybe once a week, just so that they could make ends meet. So this is how seriously it impacted them. Then we have the hierarchy culture. Here is the typical culture that most organizations will probably fall under, both in the US and the West and even in Africa, where you have the structures in place, where you have the levels of authority, and everybody knows who to report to.
Correct. Correct.
That typical organization has set procedures and its ways of, and you do not have a choice. It's imperative that you follow the rules of, the organization. And you find a lot of our banking sector, insurance, the more conservative professions falling within the space. And so typically they also do not just react to market changes, rapid market changes, because they have ethical issues to deal with, they have compliance, they have so many things. So even before management can take a decision, you need to go to your board for approval.
Correct.
So COVID happened and it was like suddenly everybody was destabilized. And so you needed a one unit from where everybody could gravitate. And thankfully, that is where HR came in. So you realize that then HR had to be in the forefront together with management, guiding, directing, and pushing, and aligning and sending out communication, having that positiveness and the calmness within which to direct.
Correct.
So that is how COVID affected these organizations. And then last but not the least, we have the market culture, where they are more inclined towards the external markets and the focus on external customers, because the benefits or the needs of the customer is what drives them, and it's a very fast-paced industry or culture. So you have the Amazons and Tesla,
Correct.
General Electric, companies like that in that space. So when you look within these 4 key areas where we would have majority of our organizations falling, before COVID, everybody had their style of operation. For the flexible ones, they had their flexi hours. They had their ways of thinking outside the box, being innovative. When COVID hit, now in the tech world, they even have gone a bit further. And now they say working from anywhere, because even they still recognize that the staff who is still working in isolation at home would be able to work anywhere else, so long as he's still accountable, he's able to deliver, he's able to innovate. And so these are the things that they have also been able to come up with. With the other cultures, we are still grappling to find hybrid ways of working and all that. So yes, COVID has come, even we are still not clearly out of the woods, but the discussions have started, and you can see there's a mindset change as to how we can make things better for our employees.
Correct, correct. Absolutely. I think the process that you discussed and the different types of, cultures that you discussed has a lot to do with different leadership styles as well.
Exactly.
So I think my next question definitely that pops up is that it has been a long run debate that who shapes the organization culture better? Is it the manager? Is it the leader? So what is your take on that?
Okay. And so there again, I would want to believe, first of all, it lies with leadership. Okay. And I think that Richard Branson said it nicely when he said there's no magic formula for great company culture.
Correct.
The key is just to treat your staff how you would like to be treated. And so it falls first on our leadership, whatever the organization is, the leadership first. But there's a responsibility that comes with HR. And so as HR professionals, we play a key role in shaping the culture and influencing leadership. It is critical that we get that. So for instance, Gallup indicates, and I quote, HR leaders are responsible for aligning managers and employees with this aspired culture. Whatever culture the leadership aspires to have, HR has a role to play there, fostering a sense of ownership for that culture and maintaining accountability throughout all levels of the company. And so it is important that we equip our leaders, we equip our managers. The buck lies with leadership at the top, and it transcends through every facet of the organization. But HR forms the bridge that is between management and the employees. And so we have a key responsibility to make sure that we direct the conversation. And so this sits with us a lot. And so we can indicate that the organizational culture manifests itself through the entire employee life cycle. So at recruitment, for instance, if you say that you are a company that stands for respect for the individual, during recruitment, how do you treat your interviewees? Do you communicate with them? Do you show them respect? Do the way you treat them, even at that level, will let them know that this company is actually living its values. And at the onboarding stage, for instance, this is a very good opportunity in which to imbibe that culture. And who manages that function is HR. And so again, you realize that the existing staff, new staff coming on board, because people are coming from diverse backgrounds, but you need to imbibe what you are aspiring as your culture. And so it's important that you get it right at the beginning. And so things like performance management, do you reward and recognize hard work, people who excel? These are areas in which you can also show that this is what we stand for, these are the values that we create, and this is what we expect from you. And it transcends from leadership. Skills development, are we upskilling our employees? So today you are an employee or an employer of choice. In the next 5 years, will you still be relevant? What are you doing to retain your talent? Because your staff are with you because of the value that they know that they derive from you, and vice versa. And so we need to constantly review what is happening in the industry where we find ourselves, and then we add value to our employees so that they feel committed and you can retain the talents that you have over a period of time. Discipline, another key area. Are we disciplining everybody else but leaving senior management out? It has to be the same across board. So HR has a key responsibility in managing this process. But at the end of the day, it lies first on leadership, and then we would help to make sure that the process transcends to everybody, and everybody is equipped at every level to be a part of what we aspire to be.
Fantastic, fantastic. I guess two major takeaways that I see from this, answer is having like strong base of core values. I mean, defining them from stage one. And secondly, of course, like you rightly said, having that equality amongst all levels of management creates a lot of difference. These days, I don't think we are much into the reporting system. We prefer all the levels of management treating each other as friends, and treating each other as family. I think that is a wonderful insight that you have given. I think moving on, definitely there's a huge question that what should employers do differently now, especially, of course, see, every company is following the trends for changing the company culture, but what can the employers still do differently wherein they're creating a very productive and supportive environment for all the employees, and probably this will lead to a better retention rate as well.
Exactly. You are right in that regard. And I think that we haven't in this century had any such natural, should I say, disaster, or the pandemic is something, and it ravaged everybody around the globe. And so even though we appear to be gradually going back to what we now call the new normal, a lot of discussion is being had. Organizations are back at the drawing board, trying to look at how do we, and the key thing is the lifeblood of the organization, which is the people. How do we engage better with our people? How do we ensure that whether we now aspire to a hybrid work, we are actually getting value and we are actually providing the sort of benefits that our employees need? Look at what has happened with the great resignation, okay?
Yes, yes.
Employees now feel that, oh, I have a choice. I should be able to have a trump card to say that if you don't have a hybrid system, I am not joining your team, because I realize now that I do need certain things which I cannot forego at this time. The narrative is changing. And so organizations are also quickly looking at how can we make that difference. In Africa, especially because we are developing, we do not have the structures in place immediately when it comes to technology and even having the financial muscle. And so it appears to be a slow process, but the mindset change has been created. Because I can tell you, prior to the pandemic, there were a lot of organizations within Ghana, for instance, that would never dream of working from home, but it has come to stay. They wouldn't even have thought of, for instance, running training programs virtually. But now it has become part of the deliverables that we give. And so I sit in my office and we can deliver training to, we have over 40 branches spread across the country, whereas previously you necessarily, because it was the traditional method, had to travel across the regions to deliver training. It's not happening that way any longer. So the changes are coming, but we would require proper structures in place. And of course, you need the financial muscle to be able to do that. Employers are also looking at ways in which they can account for performance. And again, it comes back to having the proper structures in place that you don't need to micromanage.
Right.
You know that once your team knows what is expected of them, they will deliver. And whilst doing that, it is also important that we find innovative ways of reiterating the values or the core values of the institution, because we are human. When you are in the work environment, you know the rules, you know the regulations. When you are working from home or anywhere else, you can do whatever you like. But there has to be that conscious effort to reiterate these values constantly. And so you can continue to do that through your email, through communication. You realize that most groups have they have virtual social events, and you can, they specifically would ask that you dress up and be available for a meet, and you have your favorite drink, either a mocktail or your beer or whatever. But these are ways in which we have had to find innovative ways of engaging our staff, because without that, you have a disconnect. Even for people to be coming gradually back into work, psychologically, for some people, it's taking a longer time. Others have moved in already because their industry does not allow, they have to be in person. So there are certain industries that you didn't have a choice but to go straight back. Now, another area that we should also not lose track of is mental health, and making opportunities available and the avenues available for our employees to have that help. Because, everybody across the world, one way or the other, must have lost a family member, a colleague, a neighbor. Even they may have gone through COVID themselves and are still struggling with post-COVID issues. And it's important that we don't lose sight of that. And it's one area that we need to look at, and we need to upskill our managers also to be able to identify when they have their team members behaving not in the right way or not the way they used to know them. Because for some people, the workplace offered some kind of solace. I mean, in Eastern Africa, we had cases of increased domestic violence and things like that. So you can understand that in different areas of the world, people had various issues. And so it's an important area we should not just gloss over. And management or leadership will have to actually commit finances to that avenue, ensure that people have the necessary support and are helped to be integrated and great their system. And so there are so many areas that we can help it, but the important thing for me is that the discussions are being held, the awareness has been created, the mindset has really come. There's opportunity for us to gradually prepare ourselves, and hopefully we won't have any serious natural disaster of this magnitude. But I think that organizations have realized that there's nothing that is impossible. And once we put our minds to it, we can have some structures or semblance of structures in place, no matter how little, to support our employees from time to time. Yeah.
Absolutely. And a very important topic that you picked up was mental health. I think
Yeah.
that's the reason a lot of employers have been inculcating the practice of wellness corporate training.
Exactly.
To make sure that all the employees are okay, especially talking about, let's say, the people in sales, the people who are doing business development, the pressure that they carry is huge. And I think we as an HR, if we can inculcate the points that you also mentioned, to make sure we're creating a shell where they are happy, they come back with good results, I think that's what we can definitely look at. I know that we have spoken already about leadership and maintaining the core values, but what do you think should be an ideal leadership style that every organization should have, especially in the world where we spoke about micromanagement, we spoke about upper management controlling the hierarchy? What do you think they should practice in today's times?
Okay, so there's no rigid fit, like I explained with the earlier various cultures that you may find yourself in as a leader, depending on which entity or culture type that you find yourself in. It would reflect in your leadership style. So, for instance, you don't expect an autocratic leadership style in the adhocracy culture. You would lose all your team members because they need the flexibility, they need the innovation. In fact, the organization itself thrives on that flexibility to be able to innovate. And so you can't have an autocratic leader in such an arena. And so it varies for each individual. But at the end of the day, I think that there must be some accountability with every leader. And once the leadership are able to portray that they are accountable to the people, it reflects in everything. It reflects in decisions that are made. It reflects in the benefits and all the other things that you put together for the employees. And so it is critical that leaders understand the people that they are with.
Absolutely.
During the pandemic, like I said, everybody was totally lost. Nobody actually knew, but HR had to step in to be that bridge that management needed. And so give the feedback to the people, collect feedback from the people for management, and then also be able to disseminate information clearly, calmly, and concisely to the people. And so management also has a responsibility, or the leadership, once they have that appreciation of that HR function, because we are one of the key influencers in the organization. Once they work together, we should be able to have the people responding to whatever style of leadership is available. And they would always be able to get some of these feedback from the pulse surveys, from engagement surveys, and having these focus groups and things like that. And so that drives the organization. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do have a question coming from one of our audience on LinkedIn. So he is asking, in today's times, practicing hire and fire is not considered very healthy. So what if there is an employee who is not culturally fit? Should the company invest in making sure he's trained well, or should they be going back to the traditional, that is fire?
That can be a tricky one. But I think that organization, and once you have a clear outline of what your culture is, if the employee comes in and is not fit, he will stand out. He will stand out, and in fact, he himself will pack and go. You won't need to go to that length to let the person go. I believe that. Because once the person comes in and realizes that this is how it is done, and it is hammered home continuously, it is reiterated in every avenue, in every area, And so the person automatically will feel that, no, this is not the place. In the same way that you can enter a toxic culture and immediately know that I don't fit in here, you move out. In the same way, if your culture, if your moral standards and values are not right, you would step out. Otherwise, yes, there may be times when you could make the effort to understand where the person is coming from. You may go the extra mile as HR to check and make sure that the person has the right skills. But if the attitude is wrong, they won't fit in with anybody. And one thing that we hold in my organization, we don't transfer the problem. You can't say that it's manager A against manager B. And so you move the person from A to B. No. And so one of the things is that you would have to manage the person out. I think that HR balance is also changing. We avoid using words like fire and so we would rather use letting you go or terminate. I mean, it's a contract. If I feel that at this point I am not able to derive the utmost benefit from you, I can go through the legal process and let you go quietly. There is a process for that.
Absolutely.
And so you follow that due process. So the same way an employee would go into an organization and find that this is a toxic environment, I can't work there, and they leave. That person will be singled out. He or she will be singled out and can be managed out gradually.
Absolutely, I agree. It's a tricky one, and being an HR is not easy.
No.
So you are basically keeping in mind everybody's emotions, everybody's experience, their hard work, and it's that moment when you have to communicate that, hey, it's for your betterment and ours too. But I think these days the whole resigning scenario has changed. Maybe both the parties, the employers are taking it healthily, because at the end of the day, we are looking at growth. And if it's happening by parting ways, that's the way to go.
That's it. Exactly.
Absolutely. I think this topic is something that can go on, and it's not something that we can wrap up so fast. But I'd still like to ask you one last question. What would be that one key advice you'd like to give to the young aspirants, especially in today's era where women empowerment is equally taken care of? What would be that one thought you'd like to put out?
Okay, so I think I mentioned earlier that as HR people, we are one of the key influencers when it comes to the corporate culture. And Simon Sinek said it, corporate culture matters. How management chooses to treat its people impacts everything, for better or for worse. And so as the HR person, whichever space you find yourself where you sit today, how can you be that change to ensure that your leadership is providing the sort of culture that will fit what we are today and where we are as a people today? Because like you said, people will not take certain work environments like previously because you didn't have any other choice. Even if they don't have a job, they can decide to stay home. And so it's important that we create the atmospheres that will allow for our young people to want to come in and also contribute their quota. So as an HR leader, for me, the key thing is to remember that we have a responsibility as influencers and agents of change in shaping our organizational culture. And we also have a responsibility to spearhead some of these initiatives to move the company to the aspired culture that we look for. We can make that difference. And I think that we should encourage and hold each other accountable and move forward as HR professionals and business people generally. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. And I think you have put back the human in the human resources, as they say. So thank you so much for your insights. And I'm sure not just the audience, but I will be moving on with my day today with a lot of inspiration and motivation, because I think I'm just trying to learn as much, and what's coming from you as a leader, it's fantastic. So thank you so much for being with us in this conversation today. We really, really
Thank you.
appreciate this. And
Thank you.
of course, to all our lovely audience, because of you, I think Edge Talk series becomes more brighter. So thank you so much for being with us here today. And on behalf of my entire team, Mary, once again, just extending our gratitude towards you. And thank you so much. So it's us signing off today. Please stay tuned for our next episode. We have an amazing speaker lineup coming up. So stay tuned. And for our audience, please leave your reviews and comments about today's episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good weekend.